how has COVID-19 altered or changed any of your business plans or daily operations?
Okay, so um, I just jumped right in, did everything virtual. Of course, you're over hairstylist, and so we were shut down. There was no, you know, you can't sit in my chair. So I just went right in, and started doing live videos. I started using my social media platform. Actually, just totally different than before, and we were doing live videos of how to do certain hairstyles. And then I took it a further step up and started doing one-on-one sessions with people and actually showing them step by step of how to color their hair, or how to cut their hair, or how to style their hair, whatever it was that they needed. That's what we did. And, it was actually fun, for me and the client, because then, and they got to learn how to actually do their hair. But once everything opened back up, I mean, everything wasn't 100% perfect, but it gave them what they needed, and it was an easy alteration, for when we opened back up. So it was almost like as if they did not miss a beat when it came to their services.
So, what's the biggest life lesson you've learned while operating your business during a pandemic?
Patience is definitely is one of them. Learning patience and being fearless. That was it. Because before, just like everybody else, the world was fast. I'm in and out, in and out, in and out all the time. And during the pandemic, it slowed me down. I mean, because we didn't have anywhere to go. There was nothing to do. But it slowed me down mentally and it slowed me down physically. And it allowed me now that since we have been up open, if I feel like I'm going too fast, I can recognize it myself and I can slow myself down. But it also allowed me to be more fearless because since we were closing, I just started doing stuff that honestly I don't think I would ever have done before, if we had never shut down. And so now it's easy for me to jump into things. Not to say that I jump into things without thinking, but it's just I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. Try something new. It allowed me to push myself even better.
Awesome. So, throughout this pandemic, we've noticed that small businesses across the country have suffered badly, and a lot of them were not able to make enough income, to stay alive. So, were there any bills or laws from local government that were in order to keep your business alive? And if not, why do you think that is?
Um, I didn't necessarily like pay attention to it like that. I mean, I like everyone else, I filled out the, unemployment, and being small business, there was no such thing. They had to create something like that for us. But for me, I was grateful that I didn't have to stay on too long, like some people are still on, now. But during the time, I didn't think about it. I just, I don't know, I just kind of reacted. It was like, hey, okay, let's move this stuff over. Let's, start doing things. But I mostly kind of focused on what can I do to help other people. And so that was my main focus, and, the bills, if I was able to pay them, I paid them. If you couldn't, you couldn't, I mean, I can say that gratefully there were a lot of things out there available. You just had to pay attention. You had to be diligent. You had to be persistent. And again, Hi, my name is Nicole Grant, and I am the owner of MG Studio Hair Care Products. I'm also a hairstylist at Direction Salon. What inspired and encouraged me to create my own brand? Well, to be honest with you, It was a selfish thing because as a hairstylist, I'm a hairstylist of over 20 plus years, and I was just not enjoying the products that I was putting on my clients' hair. It was okay, I'll put it that way. It would be great at the beginning, it would turn okay, and then I would have to use something else because it wasn't working. And I looked up and I realized that I was spending way too much money on my products. It became selfish in a way because I really was not thinking about selling products. I was just thinking about, you know what, I can't find what I'm looking for, I'm gonna make it myself. And it was just for me and for my clients, and that was it, you know. But after diving more into it, um, I got very personal and even more serious than I already was, about what we were putting in our hair. Um, I noticed that it wasn't feeding the hair, and I wanted to create a product that would actually feed our hair, and not just feed our hair, but just make a whole different, healthier transition for ourselves. So that's why I created MG Studio. um, my typical day, I don't have a typical day. Every day is a different day. Like I tell everybody, my days are journeys. Every minute is a journey for me. Um, I am a hairstylist. I am a owner, and I am a mom of 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a wife. So every day is definitely different, and it's very, very scheduled. I put it that way. The beginning of the week, it starts for me, you know, I do wake up every morning and I look to see what needs to be done. Usually at the beginning of the week, I am either seeing what orders that need to be filled, looking at the inventory, definitely doing our marketing. We go online every Monday, so we're teaching online about whatever. It could be hair, it could be the products, it could be about, you know, just having a healthier lifestyle. It could be about business, how people can start their own businesses, or if they're trying to get a promotion, you know, what do they do to get that promotion? So we're always, you know, doing something virtually online at the beginning of the week. I do wake up maybe about 7 o'clock in the morning, definitely on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, prepping the studio, so that we can make products. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is service day. So I'm in the salon all day. I usually go in about 8:30 in the morning, don't leave till about 7 o'clock at night, and come home, and it's mommy duty and wife duty after that. So it's a different journey every single day. Why do I think consumers should be invested in my business? I don't really think about why consumers should be invested in my business, but more on the lines of consumers need to invest in themselves. And my product line helps people invest in themselves. Invest in having a healthier lifestyle, invest in having healthy hair. That's my brand. That's my product. So it's not about, I don't necessarily tell people why they need to invest in me. I tell people why they need to invest in themselves. And that's really it. We feed the hair. That's what we do. Our product line, it's not just natural ingredients, but I service natural hair services. Not, and when I say natural, I don't mean, that we don't do anything, I don't service people with chemical, services. I just make sure that your hair is healthy, either behind my chair and at your own home. If you're away from my chair and you need to keep up with your hair, we do that. And I give knowledge to those in my chair. I give knowledge to people, virtually, wherever I go. I just give knowledge of how people should take care of themselves and take care of their hair. One thing that I've learned in this field is that, well, two things that I've learned in this field. If you love your hair will definitely love you back. That's number one. Number two, having healthy hair is actually 3 steps closer to having a healthy lifestyle. Because when you have healthy hair, not only do you look good, but you feel good. And when you know about what you're putting in your hair or what your stylist is putting in your hair, and knowing that, oh, I have broccoli extracts in my hair that's helping my hair stay healthy, or I have sea buckthorn oils in my hair that is making my scalp healthy, eliminating psoriasis, eliminating dandruff, or eliminating stress on the hair. You start to think about what you're doing to your body and how you're treating your body. So it makes you kind of want to eat better. It kind of makes you want to do better. It makes you want to think better. And you just, before you know it, not only are you physically exercising, but you're mentally exercising yourself as well. You're relieving stress away from yourself. You are actually just giving yourself a better life. And so that's what MG Studio is we help you invest in yourself. Hardships. What hardships or struggles have I experienced while starting and running my business? Well, let me tell you. Time. Money. Did I say time? Let me say time again. Time. Those are the big struggles, because I don't have time for myself. You have to make time for yourself. I lose a lot of time with my family sometimes, and I had to learn how to make time for my family. When at the beginning of the business, it started off fun, because it was new and it was exciting, for all of us. But as it got deeper into the business, I wasn't there as much for my kids. You lose time with your husband. And then financially, of course, you have to pick and choose, of investing more into the business, or do you go and, invest more in your vacation or invest more into fine dining, so those were the hardships. But once we realized it's not as hard anymore. And yeah, we've increased, but of course, the more you increase, the more work you have to put in into it, and the more money you have to put in as well. But I found ways, or I should say, my family and we found ways to make up and to not miss so much of the time and money with it. The advice that I wish that I had given myself before starting this is being fearless. I wish I was a little bit more fearless at the beginning, than the way that I am now. When God gives you a gift like this, it's not to just hold it in. It's not to second guess yourself. And it's definitely not to have low self-esteem with it. He's it's a gift. Everybody has a gift. And when you turn your gift into a business, man, you're supposed to tell everybody about it. And I wish that I had did that, at the beginning. I tell people now, it's great. Like, let's tell the world, let's do this. Let's go for it and let's dive right into it. It matters. There's definitely uh, one quote that I always tell myself, which is trust the process. When you trust the process, you do become fearless because you're not thinking about, oh, I need to be fearless or I need to do this. You're just trusting the process and have patience. That's what I wish the other thing that I had told myself was to have patience. So,
How has COVID-19 altered or changed any of your business plans or daily operations?
Yeah, so I established the brand actually within COVID, like in the midst of it, I think around August, September. And it didn't become an LLC until the end of January. So being a business owner, this was kind of like my first experience getting into the entrepreneurial bug and really like, picking it up as I go. So I would say it's hard to really answer that question like specifically because all I know how to operate is within COVID. So I've just had to like adapt with, how um that's caused me to not really be in person and not really operate as a normal business person would. Being able to sell clothes only virtually has been, it has ups and downs, and being able to just interact with people online, really using technology to my advantage. I'll say that's how I've just been able to learn and grow as an entrepreneur. I haven't had experience to like sell anything like, a whole bunch of t-shirts or hoodies, like while I've just handed out to different people. So like I said, like my online store is just really where I've been being able to host and operate my business.
Dope, dope. That's still a great answer. Well, thank you for sharing that because yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely had a very interesting story of just starting your business during your pandemic. I mean, that's really inspiring. I mean, again, just like starting your own brand just to give people hope. I really
Yeah.
love that message. So thank you for that answer.
Sure.
And so then my next question for you is, what's the biggest life lesson you've learned while operating your business during a pandemic?
Yeah. I think the biggest life lesson that I've learned is just being prepared um, to just be your best self. Um, and also, I guess that intertwines with like customer service. So being able to really hone in on your communication skills, being able to truly represent like who you are. And by doing so, like I said, because a lot of the people that support me only had interaction, the past year online through social media or a call or things like that. They only know me through this one platform. So a lot of, what I say, what I post, what I do, it's been a life lesson to teach me like, you know, to always be on your P's and Q's, always make sure that your character truly represents, who you are, what you stand for, because anything could happen both positively and negatively. If a person wants to reach out and like you, being able to reach out to me and ask me, do this documentary with you, like my character had to be up to par and kind of fit into, what you wanted to be able to present. So I only could have this opportunity if I was representing my true self, well. I'm sure you wouldn't want anything negative that I brought along from what I do on social media or what I do at school onto your documentary. So just being able to make sure like, okay, you don't have a lot of chances or opportunities to really bring your character down to a level that doesn't, represent my family well, myself well, and God well. think you're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I kept trying to press the button, so yeah, my
Yeah.
bad, brother. Thank you. Well, again, thank you for that answer. I really appreciate that, man. That's a great response.
Yeah.
And so this basically leads me to my last question for you, for this
Yeah.
portion of the interview, and that is, so throughout the pandemic, we've noticed that small businesses across the country have suffered badly, and a lot of them weren't able to receive enough income, or make enough income to stay alive. So, in your case, were there any bills or laws from your local government that were in order to keep your business alive? And if not, why do you think that is?
Yeah. So like with me just starting out and not really having a whole bunch of revenue, I probably wouldn't even have qualified for the things that were established. So I was just really going off of just natural revenue, just kind of make as much money as I possibly can. So I don't think I could even qualify for like a loan or anything like that. However, I know my local government did, in the state of Maryland, provide, I think, different loans that you can be granted. And I think some of them have forgivable loans. So like my dad's an entrepreneur, he owns his own, I think, S Corp. He was able to get, I think, some money from the government while he wasn't able to cut hair in person. He's a barber. So he was definitely, able to take advantage of the resources to fulfill his proper business. But, like I said, I can't really speak too much about being able to use those types of resources just because I was just starting out. So I wouldn't, I guess, have like, proper credit score or different things like that to qualify me for those loans. But they definitely had different opportunities for people to try to succeed throughout the pandemic.
Encouraged and inspired me to start Peace with God during the pandemic. So it's funny because I never really wanted to be an entrepreneur, never had that on my mind. I never aspired to be a business owner. However, one day I was like, you know what, I just want to make clothes. It was originally starting for myself to just represent who I was, a Christian, with clothes. I love fashion and I love to be unashamed of who I am. Fast forward to the business, people started to look at the clothing, was like, yo, that's dope, I need it now. So this t-shirt, Hope, was the first thing I made based off of a message I heard from my pastor. And I felt like God was pushing me to establish something concrete. I felt like it was something on my heart that was like, you know what, you're growing, you're becoming bigger. It can be a lot more than who you are as a person. And it's now a lot more than just clothes. I'm doing stuff with music, with dance, with videography, and being able to just have an outlet that people can go and receive good quality content and authentic content more than anything to represent who God is, and just how to be authentic with your relationship with God at this current state in your life, and not just having to wait and catch up for it. I guess I would say like waking up, I put God first, praying first and foremost for him to guide me, my thoughts, my direction on what to do with the business. So on the creative and clothing side, really just being open to what I can be inspired to by God, where he can direct me on anything that I can make out of, a picture, a video, whatever, put that into clothing somehow, put that into a design, put that into some content. That's the creative side. So for the business side, lately I've had some challenges where I've had to go and communicate with my bank, communicate with other vendors. And that's, like I said, been a challenge because I'm having to work out and dispute some issues in regards to settling my business account, and it's really establishing it because I know that I've had some documentation to fill out, and sometimes the bank does not get all those documentations when I thought I filled it out. There's a lot of things that I didn't know goes into really establishing an LLC, and not just the LLC, the business account, because not only do I have an LLC, I also have a business account for this LLC. To just separate all my financial things, making sure everything's clear, clean, don't have to look at, my personal transactions versus my business is all on one thing. So that really helps me. I look at my account just to see, if I'm getting any revenue, and just looking at, how I can really grow my brand beyond just the clothing aspect and the creative aspect, but really, desiring financial success at the end of the day. first and foremost, like making money is not my desire. Making a whole bunch of revenue is not my first and foremost priority, but being able to put out something that's authentic for believers and being able to put out something that can be able to seek and save the lost first and foremost, because without God, this is, impossible to do. So making sure that I have a true heart to be able to serve his people, and making sure that, when they wear peace with God clothing, when they see peace with God, it's not something that they can put on the back burner of their closet. They want to put this at the first and foremost of their closet. Being able to wear this to different events, activities, anything, fashion shows, that's going to be able to represent God at a higher level than what we do right now in the fashion community. Secondly, it's it's authentic, it's true, it's so much more than just clothing. Being able to support peace with God and not buy something is always appreciative. Like I said, it's not about making money at the end of the day. It's being able to truly represent God, truly be able to represent him through the business, through the brand, through the music, through the dance, everything that goes into peace with God as a business. As first, balancing school and business. I'm still a student at Hampton University. However, that is my first and number one, priority, because I have a career ahead of me. I have a job after I graduate, and making sure that I am solidified in those skills and abilities before peace with God. And even wanting to do a lot more with peace with God, just making sure that I realize that I have to put a lot of my effort into school, and sometimes that can be a little challenging because this is more fun, it's more of my passion. But at the same time, I do have a passion for technology. I do have a passion for learning in my career, but just now it's just not the time, and I understand that there will be a time and place for that in the future. The second thing I would say is just being the only person who runs the business, doing literally everything to make sure that it is being presented the best way possible. I'll go to different friends to say, does this look good? What do you think, for feedback and things like that. But as far as it's producing what you see, the clothing, the content, the designer, establishing the finances, handling shipping, all of that, that's all me. And just praise be to God that I am able to have the grace to do so, but it's definitely been difficult. I would also say learning as I go on my own is also kind of similar to what I just said, but not having somebody there to guide me and direct me literally with everything, other than God himself, but somebody who I can see and know who's done this, I can communicate to, hasn't really, I guess, invested, into me like that, especially with COVID going on. It's definitely harder to get in contact with somebody in person and watch them do what I want to do one day. So that's, been a challenge for myself. However, I'm just, reaching out to as many people as I can, doing what I can on LinkedIn and things like that. And then lastly, staying encouraged. Staying encouraged can be a bit of a challenge when it's your first time and when there's things that don't go your way and you're like, what in the world is going on? I thought this was it, God. How do I achieve my goals without, supporting help from somebody that I know I can trust just starting out? I've just been having to have joy, been able to have internal gladness no matter what has been going around me, being able to have enough faith to know that I'm going to get out of any situation that I feel like is discouraging me. So it's like God is bigger than anything. He's bigger than all of this. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's all about him. And as long as he's glorified, I don't have to worry about my failures or my struggles. Would have probably been to slow down. I got really excited, with creating clothes and things like that. And I honestly didn't know I was becoming an entrepreneur as I was doing it. So I was just making clothes and selling them. And it was like a hobby, really. It felt good to do all these things. I didn't really care about how much money I was making and all these different stuff. As long as I wasn't losing money, that was a good thing. So, I was just happy to be able to see people wear, awesome clothes that represented Christ. However, because it grew and it began to have more exposure, I probably would have slowed down and understood that, okay, because I'm the only person working, I need to be able to take my time doing one thing at a time, versus what typically do is just try to do all the things at once, like design and then business stuff, like literally business stuff, and then content and promotion, all those different things. Or, really plan out. And that's what I've been trying to do right now, is like really plan out and schedule what a collection is going to look like, designs, testing, all these different things, down to making sure that it's the right material that I need to best present, who God is on the level of fashion that I want to be able to present, if that makes sense.
COVID-19, honestly, it kind of made me want to go a little bit harder. And I say that in a way because I recently just left Enterprise. I was working at Enterprise running a car, but I'm a full-time entrepreneur now. I left at Enterprise on February 26th. But in the first half, when the pandemic first started with COVID, I got furloughed. They furloughed me for up to like 3 to 4 months. And then after 3 or 4 months, I was like, well, I need to, make some income. Like, I need to start doing things if I want to do this entrepreneurship thing later on down the road. And it started now. It's a perfect time, right? 3 to 4 months of being let go from your job. I was like, okay, I have other gifts and other crafts I could do. And so my business kind of took off from there. Because I was planning on doing a virtual podcast with the same amount of people that I use for the magazine. But that didn't work out because of COVID happened. So the magazine actually got born from COVID. And ever since then, I've just been on an incline of just trying to make sure that I get to the next level. I would say that, I got asked to come back to Enterprise, and I took that opportunity, but then I realized the freedom and the things I was able to do on my own was taken away, right? I was glad that I had a job because over 1,000 and 1 million people didn't have jobs. And so I was grateful that God blessed me with the opportunity to have a job. But also I feel like I didn't put my dreams and goals on the back burner, on the back seat. And so it kind of made me like, And so then I realized that my manager and I weren't really agreeing when I had to go do photo shoots and things like that. People wanted me to come and speak on panels. So I was just like, okay, decision time. It's time to see if you're really about this, right? The great Steve Harvey says, he pursued comedy, but he stuck in his car for 3 years, right? Went to a comedy jam, and he gave a great comedy jam, won the comedy jam that night. The next day, he went to the job and quit. And he had to sleep in his car and lost everything he had for 3 years. So my go-to thing is like, are you willing to sleep in your car? And so I would say, yes, I'm very willing to sleep in my car. Have I slept in my car before? I have. You got it's the journey that a lot of people don't want to take that actually builds the man, the woman, or the entrepreneur, right? And so I took that journey, and I decided to say, okay, cool. I got transferred from the Enterprise of Virginia to Atlanta, and I was like, okay, maybe it's try to change the scenery, things like that. And then again, I kept hitting that wall. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. Graduation time was coming up. People wanted to do birthday shoots. People wanted to do this. People wanted to do that. I wanted to go here. I wanted to go there. I wanted to travel. I wanted to do what Chris wanted to do. But then again, I couldn't because it was something that was stopping me because I was confined to a 9 to 5. And don't get me wrong, having a 9 to 5 is a good thing. And everybody's not an entrepreneur, and I totally understand that. But for me, I couldn't keep hitting that wall. I had to push past it. And so I pushed past it, and I took a leap of faith. I jumped off that cliff, and it's been hard. I had a couple rocks on the way down, bruises and stuff like that. Surprisingly, and I'm just open it up and tell you guys, tell you, Russ, that in that moment and jumping off, I got COVID. All right. I did the right things. I wore a mask. I washed my hands. Sanitizers in my car. I got Lysol in my car. I got wipes. I do everything strategically so I won't get sick. But then again, still got it, right? And it put me down. let me down for 2.5 weeks, and it was a tough time. But it was like, dang, that recurrent feeling came again. I'm hitting a wall. I gotta push past this in order to go to the next level, because if I stay here, I would never know what it means to go to the next level or to move forward. And so I fought COVID, got through it, knocked it out. I was like, all right, cool. And then it was perfect because I got done. And now I'm on tour doing graduation shoots and just changing lives. And the business is doing good. The magazine is thriving. Like our editor-in-chief, Jay Leonard, she's doing a great job of making sure that the magazine stays afloat. She's also a Hampton alum. And so it's just, building that team and having that tenacity, right? You got to have a tenacity in order to do this lifestyle, because it's not getting to me. And so I would say overall, the business is doing good, and COVID has really been, I appreciate it, because if it didn't happen, I don't know where I'll be. The biggest life lesson I would say is always the first one: financial. Finances determine your business. If you don't have a financial sound mind, your business will fail. And then it also comes from the financial standpoint to the mental discipline and toughness, because you have to have a control over this in order to move forward in your business. And if you don't have control over your mind, your finances will fall down the drain. And so I think one of the big things was learning how to budget, learning what was under my means, like living under my means, so I can later on down the road can live in, comfort, and able to do what I want to do and not have to worry about, like, oh, I gotta pay that. Like I got this bill. Like I don't want that. So building a budget and having these, and Barry Powell, he also, you guys may know him as DJ Barry B, but he's my classmate, my brother, and things like that. He helps me with my finances, right? He breaks down an Excel sheet. He's like, bro, this is your cap for the weekly cap, and it's your monthly cap. If you stay below these, you'll be fine. And so we just talk finances. He tells me things about finances, and I tell him things about branding, So I think financial discipline is really big when you're starting off, but that was probably the most impactful thing that has propelled my business forward. So actually, it was bills and laws passed, but me being a sole entity of it's just me, right? I'm not paying employees, and I'm not, putting out money towards people. So those things kind of didn't apply to me, right? It just made me realize that startup business and entrepreneurs, this is the time to do it, right? It's a time because we're not affected by it. Everybody's affected by the laws, but at the same time, I wasn't impacted like, oh, I got to shut down shop because I'm my own employee. I'm my own employer. It's me, right? So it's like, all right, Chris, what you want to make today? I want to make $500 today. All right, let's go out here and make $500. So that was me, right? So it was like, okay, yeah, I have my LLC and everything is in place, right, to protect me from anything like that. But I feel as if those laws that were put in, like, it sucks because no one really knows what it takes to build your business is your child. Like it's like the first thing you get to experience in parenthood. I promise you. You're an entrepreneur and you're hearing this, you know what I'm saying? Your business is your child. You have to make sure it's good, you have to feed it, you have to clean it, you have to wipe its nose, you got to make sure it looks good to the people, you make sure the hair is done, make sure it's presentable. You can't go outside looking this way because you got to make sure you still look at the brand, because your personal brand is your brand, because if your brand is your personal brand, then you are the brand. So it's just like you see in my shirt, we attract who we are. I can't go outside and be a bum and be out here like, oh, no, I can't do that. I got to go outside. Hi, my name is Christopher Anderson, and I am the owner and founder and CEO of the Up Next and also the Up Next Studio. If there's anything that you need from me, I can do it for you. Also, I also do portrait photography, and so if you need anything, a family function, things like that, please let me know. Here's my business card. All right? And now, can people still have fun? Yes, but you have to realize, once you put yourself out there as that person, you have to maintain and stay that person at all times, right? Because you are letting people know like this is a business. I think Jay-Z or somebody said, I'm a businessman. Like I'm the businessman. Like I have to be the business. So I just feel like for the people that actually suffered and had to pull back when the pandemic happened, people really don't understand how much they lost, right? Like the bills had to be paid. Someone had to do it, right? People that you had as employees end up finding new jobs. So when you reopen, it's like, oh, now I gotta find people again. It's just the back end stuff. No one knows the heartache and the headaches of the back end stuff, the financial stuff. That's why I say you gotta have a sound mind to do this, because the financial aspect of the business for people that lost their business or had to shut down got hit financially, right? And the thing is, it's hard for up and coming businesses, especially Black owned businesses, right? We're already frowned upon. Everybody doesn't want to. No one wants to really want to pay you what you're worth. But the thing is, that's the thing that hurts the most, because it's like I put my life, my time, my heart, my soul into this, and you don't want to even give me that back. So when that was taken away, a lot of people felt very sad about it. But overall, it didn't impact me in a negative way, but I do know it did impact some entrepreneurs in a negative way. And a lot of those entrepreneurs are striving to move forward and actually rebuild their business. So I send out all my love to them, because trust me, I get how it feels to be when your back is against the wall and you're trying to provide for your child.
I just wanted to provide opportunity for other creators to have a place to stand on. I wanted to show everyone could be the up next in everything they want to be, right? If you want to be up next in entertainment or motivation or lifestyle or anything like that, that's why I created the Up Next. So we can, provide a platform for young creators and entrepreneurs to become that person. Also, while doing that, a lot of things came about: the Up Next Studio, the Up Next Family, and also the Up Next Magazine. Those three branches, I would say, of the main business came from just increasing that exposure for not just us, but for other entrepreneurs and creators as well, because we still wanted to provide that environment, and also to show people that there's more people in the world just like you, if you're an entrepreneur or a creative or even a blogger, it doesn't matter. We just want everybody to know that it's someone out here that's going through the same that you're going through, and also provide a platform for you to stand, and so we can tell your story to the world. We want to be able to tell and let everybody know, like, this is what's going on with so and so and so and so, right? We just want everybody to know, like, we are willing to provide you that exposure, because we want you to be the up next, right? We want you to be the best that you could possibly be, so you can become the next person in line for your industry, your career, anything. We want you to know that it's possible. So we, as the Up Next, we want to highlight you and show you off. So that's the reason, and the backstory of why the Up Next Studio, and the Up Next Magazine came about, because we wanted to provide someone the opportunity to become the Up Next in anything they do. Honestly, I recently just quit my 9-to-5 job. I did work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and I decided to take on entrepreneurship full time. So one thing I would say is just time management. I had to keep myself on the schedule, because a lot of people get complacent, right? They quit the job and then they're like, oh, I'm free to do whatever. But no, the same schedule that you were when you did the job, you have to keep it, because now you are your own employer, right? I pay myself. I'm myself's employee, so I have to keep myself on a time regimen that allows me to do the things I need to do. So if that means waking up at 6:45 every morning, even though I don't have to go to a place, I need to wake up, do something that's going to keep me going, so I can do what's best for me and my business. So I wake up in the morning. I'm starting to work out in the morning, go for a run to get my things, get my mind flowing, things like that. And then also I pray. I meditate and pray and thank God for the fact that He allowed me to see another day. Also, I'll then after that eat breakfast. Then come upstairs in my office space where we are right now.
And then just start editing pictures, looking at different ways to expand the business, find other ways to incorporate people into the articles or the magazine, and also just how to expand us on campuses and also to, connect with our following. So that's normally what I do day in, day out. Right now it's graduation time. And so the Up Next Studio part of the business is on tour, right, nonstop. So we've been traveling from back and forth to Virginia, to a lot of schools up and down the East Coast. So yeah, we're traveling right now. This is our very high peak season for us for the studio. So I believe consumers should be invested into us because what the brand knows will tell the underdog story, right? We focus on telling you guys the underdog story so that your story could be pushed out in front of thousands and thousands of viewers because we care. We know how it feels to be overlooked. We know how it feels to be that person that is just not enough, right? But we also know how to make sure that you are that person that's not overlooked and to let you know that you are enough because your story and your journey is very valuable to not just us, but to the world. And so we really want to highlight that. And investing into us is investing into you because here at the Up Next, we attract who we are, right? We attract who we are because we care about who you are, right? Everybody has a story, everybody has a journey, and why not share it? That connection piece of us as humans, and I guess as a culture or just in general, as a race, a human race, we have the lack of connecting. And so I honestly want you to feel, this business wants you to feel as if you could come together and be one whole thing. I'm really strong in my faith and my walk with Christ, and I feel like we're all a part of one major body. Even though an arm is this and an arm is that and the foot is this and the ear is that, doesn't make it not a part of the body. Yes, it has different traits and different attributes, but we are still a part of the same thing. So I want the business to be the place that everyone comes together and we can shine light on every aspect of things and also just uplift each other to the next level because we want to attract who we are and we also want you to be the up next in everything you do. So investing into us is investing into yourself because we, not just me, we are going to pull what's best out of you. I'll say the financial discipline, really having that financial discipline mentality of knowing you need to have finances and set in place for you in order to go to the next level. And so not having that, honestly, it can hurt you. And also emotional intelligence and knowing yourself, right? You have to, whatever you think of yourself is how it's going to be. So whatever I think of my business is how my business is going to come across. So that's really one of the biggest things I say I struggle with trying to manage that and make sure it's good. Also, the spirit of comparison, right? Comparing myself to someone else's brand or someone else's business because I like, oh, they got this, they have that, they have the following, they have the money, they're going here, they're traveling there. But at the end of the day, that's them. I don't know the road they took to get there, and my road to get to where I'm going is not the same road. All right, there's no elevator to success. It's always you got to take the steps. You got to climb and climb and climb until you get to that next level. It's just it's the grind, the struggle, the hustle that makes it worth it at the end because you look back and you're like, wow, I really, yeah, I made it. Your dream has to be so big that once you finally get there, because honestly, you will never get there. You probably personally will never get there, but it should be so big that it's unreachable. So you will keep going and keep driving and keep grinding and keep going through the mud, like doing all of that, right? But you have to release that spirit of comparison and thinking like, oh well, this person is doing this, that person is doing that because that's what God asked them to do. That's not necessarily what you are called to do. So keep going. Trust the process. Trust God. God put you in this position for a reason. And you have to trust that where he's taking you is going to be ultimately the plane that you want to be at, right? Never lose faith, never lose sight of the end goal because it's that end goal that's going to be worth it once you reach it. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna have nights that you cry, and you're gonna have nights that you doubt yourself, and you're gonna have times that you don't want nobody around, but you have to allow people to help you because you can't do it on your own. And just remember, we attract who we are, right? What you put out is what you get. So don't put out any negative things into the world, because that ultimately is what you will attract. Start be speaking life to yourself, speak life to your friends, your peers, and you'll be fine. So trust the process, walk by faith and not by sight, and you'll be good.
What inspired and encouraged you to create your own brand?
So Accent Films kind of like happened by accident, by chance. It started my freshman year of college. A couple friends wanted to film a video, and from there it kind of like blew off, type of thing. So that's how Accent Films kind of started. It was something I always was known for carrying around the camera on campus. So it was really just the support of other people encouraging me to like start this brand and start this, production company or what have you. Is what happened with it. And so now I kind of just took it myself and took it more seriously. And now I have Accent Films. And so I rep that proudly.
So basically what inspired me to create my brand, the Pygmalion effect. So I first started off like just doing embroidery, like custom made stuff. Like people would ask me like, can you make this? And I would do it like that. But then I kind of got tired of like doing what other people wanted me to do. And I wanted to do something that meant more to me, which is, Black empowerment and really, basically, yeah, Black empowerment. And so I turned that, the embroidery, like, side of my business and added in, like, the whole psychological and Black empowerment aspect of it.
So I started mine because I saw a why, so like a reason for the organization. And I first got interested in education and students back when I was 10. So it just grew from there, and I started in grad school. And thanks to the help of Joy, she really picked it up and Russ made it grow. So
I'm a digital agency. MRJ Consulting is a digital agency that evolved from helping nonprofits get the funding that they needed, so to speak. And so it was a area that it wasn't a lot of us in this field. So that's where I started. That's why I started.
For me, it was actually, I just got inspired from different clothes and clothing brands I've seen from like places like Tumblr, Instagram, and things such as that. So I said, why wouldn't I want to create something like that for myself?
So what does a typical day look like? Again, for the ones that have businesses, what does a typical day look like for you?
For me, if I was on campus and I still was still running it, usually my friends or whomever would like a video would hit me up, week 2 in advance, like, hey, I want to do this, this, and that. I'll probably schedule a meeting with them about what they want out of the video, and then we'll probably schedule a shoot day, and we'll shoot all day depending upon how demanding it is, and then I'll give myself a week to edit. And so a typical day, it's really just editing, shooting, and then making those necessary details to the video. So
I usually get the orders that just go straight to my phone, and then I package the day of, and depending on the time of day, I kind of just go out and ship them off. But if it's too late in the day, like 11 or even 8, then I'll wait till the next day to ship them off.
For me, my day is split. Or I should say my week is split. I say at the beginning of the week, because I create my own hair care products, I'll say at least about 8 hours making between 3 to 10 gallons of products for the first 3 days of the week. And then the other half is behind the chair, working with clients and either not just styling their hair, but either teaching them how to use the products. And in between within that week is placing orders, whether it's a delivery or making sure I am at the salon for pickup. So
a typical day is really just going down into like my garage and embroidering all the hoodies. And then after I do that, I like, count, make sure I have all of them, print out all the shipping labels. I also have like little cards that I put in the bag, so I have to like laminate those and then cut them and then put them in a bag. But yeah, that's typically it.
He is making phone calls, checking the emails, what came in, and then the rest of the days are mostly creating content and meeting with clients.
For me, it's either when I don't have orders, it's either doing research now to market my brand and developing the actual identity of it. And when I do have orders, I have to get the shirt. We have a cutting machine, so cut out the design, turn on the heat press, weed out the design, and that's basically it as well as ship it off.
So how has COVID-19 altered or changed any of your, business plans or just plans in general or just daily operations? So that could be even outside of business. How has, COVID-19 just changed, your life in general?
I'm an assistant manager with a nonprofit. And what we do is we are a federally funded program, and we feed seniors 60 years and older, low income, up to 130% below the federal poverty guidelines, which unfortunately is an increasing number all the time. Particularly in regards to the pandemic, within the last year, our organization we are normally feeding about 43,000 seniors a month. When the pandemic hit, we lost about 1,000 seniors. Reason being, some deaths, not many, but mostly is because the senior citizens, the centers, I should say, the buildings that we would deliver the food product to, they closed because obviously of the fear of the spread of COVID. So, and then a lot of those included recreation centers, public libraries, etc. So we had to not only try and reattach to those buildings, we had to first prove what we're doing is that we're protected, but we had to build a trust with them again. And so we were able to recover some of those buildings, but there are still many that are closed now. So now we're about 41,500 people, seniors that we have as part of our customer base. So what we've done mainly is, and this has particularly been my job function the last year since this has hit, is to identify new buildings and new areas where we can reach seniors, rather it be homebound or rather it be try to reattach with the buildings or whatever resources we could use. What I found in particularly which helped us has been that I've been able to reach out to churches. So if I could find a church network and speak with whoever the community relations, rather be the pastor, the community affairs person, whoever that is in that particular church, I've been able to identify with that person, speak about program, and obviously they're aware of the needs of the food insecurity that's suffered by their senior congregation. And what I found is that there is more of a trust from seniors with the church as maybe opposed to the other organizations, because the church is the foundation. The church has been there. Unfortunately, because many churches now are doing virtual, they cannot go to the church as far as to hear the sermon or to participate in programs in the church. So, but one thing they can do is they can go to the church and they can pick up that food box. That kind of starts that relationship again with them at the church, and they feel comfortable going there because, again, as I previously mentioned, there's a trust of the pastor and the people, the personnel that work at that church. So that's been very positive for me, but we still have been challenged as far as trying to regain the relationship with a lot of these agencies. Now it is improving now because obviously we've been able to introduce 3 vaccines. And so as the confidence level increases, then we can reach out to those people. But that has been a particular issue for me, particularly since COVID started, fortunately, last year.
Yes, we really had to pivot and figure out how to keep on going despite, the climate. And a lot of our events where we got grants and our donors to come in were our in-person events. So we had to cancel our annual event in New York. We had to cancel our HBCU camps. And sitting with the team, they're like, okay, well, this is what we can do online. This is how we can continue to prolong our longevity and make sure that we're still in the scene. So we've been doing online events back to back, partnering with different companies. Like we did one for college students called YardCon. And then we did one for high school students where they sat in with college level mentors. They're getting these weekly mentor sessions that are awesome. Shout out to you guys. So that's what we have been doing and really learning how to pivot. And I suggest that for every business, if you guys are in a season where it's just not making sense anymore, figure out what needs to change in the business and keep on going forward that way.
For myself, I had to pivot very quickly because, with them shutting all of the salons down like they did, self-employed with it. But instead, I know a lot of our clients, we're still trying to figure out how, are they going to do their hair? How do we maintain their, not just their hairstyle, but the health of their hair? So instead, I started doing online one-on-one consultations and actually teaching people how to take care of their hair. And it sounded silly at first, but a lot of people gravitated to a lot of it because, the men need their haircuts. Women were still, working in the hospitals and other places, and, they had their hair color. So it was very interesting watching them, do their own hair through Zoom and FaceTime, but not even that, giving them the right product for it. So we quickly had to make more product than we normally would have made before the pandemic, and making sure that it was delivered out properly, which was kind of a challenge too, because, the post office wasn't delivering mail as quickly as they normally had been. So we were actually out physically delivering one-on-one with clients safely. And then also we had to pivot for the nurses and others that were still had to work at the hospitals because a lot of people, they transitioned into making the hand sanitizers. Well, the hand sanitizers started cracking people's skin and damaging their hands. And so instead of just making hair product, we decided to make hand lotion and body lotion as well, which helped a lot, not just with people working, but people that was not customers, but what do I want to say, patients as well, helping them. So it became very busy for us.
And I can answer that question too real quick. So for me, it's actually a positive thing. If COVID hadn't happened, I wouldn't have been able to come home and be eligible for unemployment. So I got a lot of unemployment money, and that's what I used all of that to buy machines, buy the hoodies in bulk, all the supplies that I needed. And I really just put it back into myself, and it really helped out. I 100% would have never been able to do that if I wasn't, home.
Same thing for me. I actually have the equipment at home, and my mom has her own business, so we share between the equipment. So only time I was able to work and actually launch my business was during the summer. But due to COVID, I was able to fully launch it. So that's a positive for me.
It was a total positive for myself. it forced me to look at my business in a real way, to see where was I lacking. And, we had time to sit down and actually slow down and say, okay, this is not working. And so it puts you in a sense of, all right, so we're in a position where we really can't do anything in the world. So what are you going to do next? So it gave me an opportunity to strip the business down, on the operational side, to see what's lacking, see what's missing. I had a lot of help in doing that. And coming out on the other side, we pivot, that was the hit word during that time, was to pivot and do some things that you never would have thought about doing, for myself especially, or was comfortable doing. Managing Zoom meetings, teaching businesses how to navigate this digital world, giving them ideas of, once we do come out of this pandemic, some things that you're going to have to do from here on out that's going to help you stay in business. So it was just it was positive in that way, gave you a different way of thinking and a different way of approaching businesses.
Carol, and as Russell said, I manage a healthcare facility, and we're a federally qualified healthcare facility. So what that means is, we're sponsored, by the government to treat all patients, any and all patients, regardless of their insurance status or inability to pay. So definitely COVID has, impacted our business, because on a regular day, the facility is already managing 600 affordable housing units within the building. So it's in Midtown Detroit. So imagine you've got 600 residents in the building, all of low income, and they can just come right downstairs to a primary clinic and go to the doctor. The bonus advantage is that we also have elective healthcare services like behavioral health and mental health also in the building for their convenience. We also have dental services in the building. So we already considered ourselves to be a full service facility. But when COVID came along, of course, there's no shutting down in healthcare. It's just pivot to what you do best. So we are still a major outlet for vaccines. Of course, most of us, carried the 2-dose vaccine. So we started off with, before the vaccines were available, when COVID hit, still a lot of the staff went home, but the hands-on primary care providers have to stay. Here I enter the picture, brand new job. So we have a area where we do COVID testing, first of all. Like, the patients enter the side of the building away from the regular patients, and they get COVID testing. Turnaround time is like maybe 2 to 3 days of them finding their results. What was important is that they had to reconstruct the building to make it like an ICU, so that the air is filtrated regularly and no one can get infected just from droplets, breathing droplets. So that's a very protective sense. Not only do we do COVID testing, now we're doing vaccinations. And even though we're a small staff, we do approximately 50 to 100 vaccinations every day. The hours are, at first, were cut, because of COVID, and all of the face-to-face health went to telemedicine. So this is all pretty common, because if you've had to go to the doctor in the past year, there's stricter entry routines if you need to be seen, but most of it's been conducted over telehealth. But you can't do a vaccine over telehealth, of course. So we have to monitor, a group of people that come in every day and still get them to observe social distancing, full masking, sometimes testing before we can vaccinate them. And it's just created a huge workflow, because I not only have to manage a virtual team, I've got a live team every day that we manage. But considering the population that we're speaking of, being low income, homeless, sometimes mothers and kids who are in transient housing, there are a lot of risks. So we just have to do a lot of antiseptic risk protection. And it's worked out well. And the reason that, one of the reasons I feel like this kind of fits into Black businesses is that one, it's Midtown Detroit. So, anytime your cross street is Martin Luther King, you know where I'm talking about in the city. So not only is our CEO, but also our medical officer, the financial officer, operations, the dental person, and the revenue cycle person are all minorities, all people of color. So we have, I believe that they and we have the ability to think in terms of what's best for our people. Now, we do have all races that come, because when we started outpacing the vaccine rate, Cobo Center here is a large, I'm sorry, not Cobo, TCF is a large facility that does mass vaccinations, and so does Ford Field. But the wait is really, really long. So we have a much shorter turnaround. So we have people from all areas of Metro Detroit that are coming in for their vaccinations. But it's just really changed the way we do business. But one of the things that I helped implement was to reach out to some smaller Black business in the area. Like if you were a restaurant or you were maybe a tire supplier, your employees are there long hours. So we've actually deployed some small teams to go to businesses and offer vaccinations for them on site. So no one has to take a day off of work. It kind of eliminates all the excuses that we have not to take part in this part of our healthcare. But education is the most important thing. But I'm happy that we've been able to, reach out to, small business owners and restaurants to give them the same opportunities, that any other business owner would have, because we want to support them any way we can. The other thing that, that I do with my family and my friends, we do have a lot of Black restaurants in Metro Detroit. So we try to order from them, for our lunches, take something home for dinner, and make sure that, our patronizing them doesn't stop because it's inconvenient or because, we choose to go somewhere else. If you're cooking at home, great, but I'm sure every restaurateur probably has something affordable that you could take home. And we've even bought, food for some of our residents. And like Mr. Estelle said, there also is a food sharing service that drops off boxes so that the residents of the area can come and just pick up a box. And it, is filled with your basic staples and perishables that you need. But nothing is more important than healthcare. And at this time of, financial inopportunity for most people, transportation shortage, it's hard. So we're just trying to make sure that people are still considering their health and able to get good health care and not be victimized, by the pandemic. The pandemic is still scheduled, to be around for a while. So we're just trying to make sure that we do our very best, for all people, but especially our brothers and sisters in need. That's all.
Why do you think consumers should be invested in your business or just in, Black-owned businesses in general?
Well, let me just say this real quickly, and not piggyback on what Mrs. Estelle just said. By my organization being able to identify more Black churches, then who supports the Black church? You go to the Black church, and also their Black businesses. So there obviously there has to be a connection there, and that's really the majority of our customers is the Black church. Is the Black churches in the metropolitan Detroit area that's growing. So I think that that is very important in terms of connections between the community and the church and business.
Okay, so yeah, I can go. So I would say, well, for me personally, I think that consumers should, invest themselves in my business just because what I'm trying to do, it's more than just selling hoodies. I'm really trying to focus on like the Black empowerment aspect of it, and like in the future, once I get like my doctorate and everything, hopefully I'm trying to form like a program surrounding it, so that like the psychological part of it is really like much more powerful. So like I'll have like my hoodies on the side that, you know, I can make money from, and I can also like, you know, the things that I stand for, you can, you know, you can wear. But also you know, go around like the US, go to different schools and stuff, and like really preach what I'm trying to sell too. If that makes sense.
So for us, we're helping the next generation. And as we, you know, continue to get older and like the next wave of students come in, that's the students that we're servicing. So by helping us, you're helping us. I mean, by helping us, you're helping them. And in turn, helping yourselves too to create a better world. So in a nutshell, that's why you should support SSU.
So again, going back to, you know, starting a business. So what are some of the hardships or struggles that, you know, you've experienced while, you know, either when you were starting your business or just running it in general? And, you know, how can someone, you know, overcome those struggles?
I'll go for that. I'll say, like, if you're anything like myself, if you're a college student where you get $100 to your name, you are trigger happy. You know, I wish like I had saved money. I wish I had opened up a savings account early. Like that was a hardship for me, saving money and like investing back into myself. That was really hard because I was like, I have all this money now. What am I gonna do? Well, what I should have done was open up an account. So yeah.
Well, don't feel bad. That hardship is not just dedicated to college students. That was one of the issues that I had coming up, and that was way past college. So it was not reinvesting into the business. So that's one thing I've learned, but that was the hardship that I had to overcome, you know. And also being not willing to talk to a whole lot of people, but how else was I going to get clients? So I had to overcome that as well. So, you know, you had to overcome your fears. And as what my wife would always say, let go and, you know, make that happen.
I think for me, my biggest like hardship was prioritizing my time. So I would start off, you know, I started off in the summer so I could work every day and it would be fine and I'm pushing out orders. But then when school started, I'm thinking, oh, you know, we're online. I can, you know, I can just do it while I'm in class. No, that did not work. I had to dead it. Like I told like customers and stuff and people that follow me on social media, I was like, guys, I have to stop until the end of November when classes are done because I cannot do both. Like I was really struggling. And then when I rebranded over winter break to the Pygmalion effect, I did the same thing. I did the same thing again, and like I'm stressed again. So I think that's really something that I need to work on still, is like prioritizing my time and like not trying to do too many things at once.
I think one of the difficult parts is, I think for a lot of people, is making sure that you have confidence in yourself. We have faith in God, and we know that, you know, God has given you this gift. You know, none of us are having our own businesses because we wanted to, or because we think that, you know, it just came to us. No, God gave us that gift. And so you have faith in it, but you got to have faith in yourself. You got to have confidence in yourself. So with it, so it's, you know, and with that, you do want to prioritize yourself. Just like Ms. Ibrahim said, you know, you got school, you have, you know, if you have a job, you know, 9-to-5 full-time job, you have that. If you're like, you know, me and Mr. Grant, you know, we have 3 kids and 2 dogs, you know, with 3 businesses actually, you know, with it. So it's a lot, you know, but God never gives you anything that you can't handle. It's just knowing how to prioritize yourself and having confidence in yourself, knowing that you can do it, you know, with it, knowing when to give yourself what we call now has become the new popular word of self-care. You know, it's nothing new. You have to take care of yourself in order to take care of others or your business with it. So it's just having, you know, and then on top of it is just having patience. So you have to have confidence in yourself and having patience. And sometimes that can be difficult, you know, for a lot of people, or like Miss Joy said, you know, $100, you know, when you're a college student, you have $100 and you're like, woohoo. Well, guess what? When you're 43 years old and you have $100, you're like, woohoo, I got $43. But you have to know, what do you do with that $43? You have to, you know, you ask you ask yourself, but you also ask God, okay, I have this $100. What am I to do with it? You know, and knowing that what you do with it, you are grateful to do it with that. You know, no, you may not be able to take your $100 and buy a brand new pair of pants or go on a vacation with it, but you know, you can buy ingredients that you need for your products, or you can spend it on your marketing so that you can get more clientele or get more sales, and knowing that those clienteles and those sales are not only going to just give you that other $100 back, but now you got $200. So now you got $200 to go get more product and possibly buy a new pair of jeans, you know, with it. So it's just having confidence in the decisions that you know that you have to make.
So, you know, throughout the pandemic, we've noticed that, you know, a lot of small businesses across the country suffered badly, and, you know, a lot of them were not able to make enough income to stay alive. So my question for you all, you know, not just, you know, for businesses, but just as you know, were there any bills or laws from local government that were placed in order to keep your business alive? And if not, why do you think that is?
Yeah, so we got a grant. A lot of counties, but aside from, you know, your federal grants that, you know, most businesses got, but a lot of your counties gave local grants. And we took power of that. You know, they had money set aside for veterans and women. I'm not a veteran, but obviously, you know, I am female. So I did apply, we did get it. And I almost talked myself out of it. And I was just like, no, Siani, just apply. And if they deny you, they deny you. And that goes to say is, when you're applying for something, make sure you have your paperwork all the way together. And I wasn't confident that my paperwork was all the way together. So I submitted what I had and they accepted it. So that was just a lesson learned for me to move forward and do what you have to do. So I hired an accountant and I said, hey, like, I don't know what this means. Can you please teach me? So just being serious about your business, as our filmmakers set up there.
This question was very interesting and fun to me when you asked. I love talking about it because at the beginning, for Mr. Grant and I, again, we have 3 businesses, straight, self-employed, 3 kids, 2 dogs, like I told you before. And we were like literally in the middle beginning of starting a crowdfunding, because we were getting ready to go to that next level on one of our businesses, and the other business was just now getting off the ground. And we financially, on a personal level, we were just getting grounded. Like everything was just starting to break even, you know, of starting these businesses. And then here comes COVID. And we did raise some money for the crowdfunding to start those businesses. But because of COVID, all of the money that we made, we had to put in survival. We had to add it in with our emergency and savings and things like that. But it's, again, you can't be afraid. You have to face what's ahead, even when it's unknown. And something like this was unknown. And you just have to kind of like trust it. And that's what we did. Like we really, and I think for a lot of people, really walked on faith. And you just start to change where your bills go and how, you know, how do you lay them out? And so, I mean, we came out with nothing, but we also jumped on as many grants as we could. And because we're self-employed, you know, unemployment was not available to us right away, like everybody else was. And when it was available for us, you know, we did not stay on it long, you know, because once things got lifted up, you have this choice of, do you keep pushing or do you stay on unemployment? Well, we had to keep pushing. And so the minute we started pushing, we had to get off of that. So the unemployment was not, you know, it was something, but it was very short term, for us. But through all that pushing and just kind of walking in faith, we got out with 2 grants. So not only did we make up the crowdfunding that we started off, but we also had more to not to go just to that next level, but to 2 levels. We actually walked out with $30,000, just off of grants, and was able to pay our bills off and get to the next level with it. So, and I know for a lot of people, they were able to do the same thing. And it was just really about prioritizing yourself, not panicking in something that's like this. It's just accepting it and saying, okay, this is where we're at and this is what we have to do. And you just kind of have to know how to let go of some things and do what you need to do on the rest, and just having faith of knowing that eventually it'll all come back together again. And when you look at it, everything is all coming back together again. For some people, they may not have their business, but I know a lot of people are able to start over at such a great fresh start, because just like Ms. Joy said, over again, they didn't have money, or they didn't know how to take care of their finances. Now they know how to take care of their finances, and they're able to rebuild at a different rate. So.
Just in general, what are some of your favorite Black-owned businesses right now, or that that you think people should watch out for?
For me, being a production junkie, I'm really into Kevin on Stage Studios. He's a content creator, love all of his stuff. He just put forth an app called Kevin Stage Studios, the app, and that has all like original like Black digital content, happy stuff that you really don't necessarily see readily available on like big media platforms. So yeah, that's somebody who I suggest everyone to support. And if you like want to get a little laugh, like go over to his app. So yeah.
For myself, I would say Melanin Royalty is a young lady. She's makes her own apparel, t-shirts, hoodies, real positive. And also MG Studio, the product line there is real good. I use it for my beard and everything, so I really appreciate that.
I would say my favorite Black-owned business right now is probably Telfar. I love their bags. They're super cute, and they come in a lot of various different colors. So, yeah.
I was just saying, Waste His Time is pretty awesome. I like following them and their products.
How has your school or job handled the pandemic? So, just thinking about last year or even now, like, have they handled it well? Were there any solutions that they could have done better or anything like that? So what was your opinion on how, your own job or your schools handled the pandemic?
In regards to the airport system, it's just like the healthcare, like it operates 24/7 regardless. Granted, there ain't gonna be as many people in the airport, but what airlines and what airports are doing now, they're offering free COVID tests before they go home. So if they can't get it if they can't get it on site, they can take it actually before they actually get on the plane and get that result. So that's how they've been handling them. But in regards to examples for how Miami is looking right now, that's kind of how the summer is going to be approaching. The airport that I work at is going to have its busiest summer that it's had ever in history, and it's a pretty high volume airport. So,
for me personally, so I work at Foot Locker, and I am pretty content with the way that they've been handling the pandemic. Like we also we go out of our way to make sure that like all the benches are clean, that there's hand sanitizer everywhere. We also make sure that there's not a lot of people in this store. We have to make sure that there is like a certain amount of people, even if that means like allowing them to just like wait outside. But I have been happy with the way that my job has handled the pandemic, and also with school, even though we did get a few of our years taken away from us, I think it was like in our best interest to just wait at home and just do online school and then see where the pandemic has gone from there.
Well, speaking for Focus Hope, what we've done, and another reason why we've been able to gain trust with the agencies that we work with, is that we had to actually, we have a policy now where we have to test. If you do not want the vaccine, then you have to do a COVID test every 2 weeks. Has to be reported to our human resources area before you can even set foot on campus. So in any of our buildings, when we all come into work, there's a temperature gauge that is loud, that takes your temperature. You just put your face right in front of it, and it announces your temperature.
So in the beginning of the pandemic, I do believe that Hampton was a little bit unorganized with how they handled COVID, but towards the end, I think that they were receptive with what we were saying, like the students in SGA were talking about how they wanted to have wellness days. So I think that now Hampton is handling the pandemic better. They improved with how they're extending their deadlines of payment. So I think that this pandemic allowed them to kind of be a little bit more lenient. So that's my perspective on it as a student. So I'm actually happy with how they're handling it now.
I work at a Black-owned wellness spa in Bethesda, Maryland. And I don't know if anybody's been to Bethesda, Maryland, or they from the DMV. Not a lot of Black-owned businesses in Bethesda, Maryland. But I think that my supervisor is handling it very well. It's kind of hard though, because, she does everything from a massage to saunas to facials to back treatments to like everything. So that's really hard when society is telling us like, don't touch anybody. You need to social distance, when you need to cover your face. Like, it's been kind of hard, but I think, we don't stay open every day of the week. We tell everyone they have to wash their hands when they come in. We can't have more than one person in the waiting room. We have to just take precautions. We have to wipe down everything twice, right after everybody finishes, we have to clean up. So